Hello.
That's the wrong thing. You go back to slide one. There you go.
Okay, for Bosoma's 15th anniversary, Bosoma Dance Company, 15th anniversary season in 2018, I decided to bring back my first choreographic work called Tapestry, which I created in 1997 while a student at UMass. And I originally had it as one piece. I decided to transition it into 3 consecutive pieces, but I needed assistance by somebody like Greeke to take it to that next level. The first piece started as a pixelated view of the end result. The second piece I wanted to have expose more of the inner workings, and then the third piece be the unbridled vision, which Jen helped me with.
It's me next.
Yes.
After listening to Katherine's visions, I had a great idea for the end result, which was very much based off of my wearable art piece. But I had to brainstorm how to actually do pixelations, and then the middle, the first wave and the second wave. I just, some things like walking through Barnes & Noble, I just happened to see this book and it had this pixelation cover, boom, there we go. How do I do that? So I had to go back and start figuring out different kinds of manipulations and exploring all different ways to deal with fabric, but also what would withstand washing, getting attached to spandex, how do you attach it to spandex, and just dealing with what will endure the beating of dancers, modern dancers, and how is this going to work with their movements, how is it going to work with the story.
So once we got them on the dancers, that was the next part, is that my movement is very physical. We are moving and flying all over the space, and so we had to kind of deconstruct a little bit of what she had already done. So there were sections of the material that we may had to cut out of the armpit, for instance, or she had some of this type of stuff that was here getting caught on their makeup. So those are the kind of things, my dancers fly at 1 minute in the air, and then they're on the floor rolling on that. So it was interesting process for us to work with the dancers, get their feedback, and how it was either constraining or enhancing the movement in the final piece. Then we took it to stage, and my lighting designer was able to enhance the amazing work that Jen did. Like here, these are the explosions of the pixelation that you saw earlier, the third section. And so when the light hit it, it was able to actually convey the tapestry that we were working towards as our final piece. In 2019, because I had such an amazing experience with Jen, and this is the final version actually, you see pixelation, the next layer starting to explode, and then the final version. That leg alone was probably 20 pounds. And she had to turn and leap in about mine. In spring of 2019, my next work that I was starting to develop was called Keys in Black and White, and the idea of it was a pianist transforming into their keys. Developing an abstract Fantasia-like story on stage. And so when I talked to Jen about this, we were trying to figure out, are they the keys, or are they the idea of the keys, just black and white? And so Jen started to work with a fabric that was actually reflective.
Do you want me to talk? Okay. So, so one of the things that, I totally lost my spot. One of the things that, first thing you ask is, are these humans or are they keys? How literal are we going? So she was like, I want them to represent keys. So, just brainstorming, okay, I know I want to have some kind of vibration, like when you listen to pianos, and I came up with this idea because I was going through all my tear sheets, and I see this old design of a flapper uniform and how things move like that. So I was like, okay, well, I want it heavy, and so I didn't want these tabs to fly. I wanted them to fall, and I wanted them to kind of swing like this. So I put some beads at the bottom of each of those tabs as well. So it's giving. I don't want them to feel like birds flying. I want them to feel like a vibration.
So then we decided to take it into the studio for a photo shoot, and we played around with different light technique to see whether we would highlight the reflective light or allow a different type of technique to absorb and hide that white reflective moment. And ultimately, I wanted, when you saw the piece on stage, to feel like you were walking into a black and white moment in space. And the soloist of the pianist was the highlighted light color. So our lighting designer was able to take it to a sepia tone space on stage for the final piece. The third most recent collaboration is my new piece called Parachute, which will debut this weekend at the Larkham. It was inspired by a time in my life when I was feeling out of control and overwhelmed with all these opportunities falling into my lap, and I felt like I needed a parachute. So I found this image and I said, hey Jen, can you come up with this one? And she did.
So when Katherine came to me with this image of the skirt, you know, I knew it was more about making what she needed me to make. It wasn't about brainstorming different ideas. It was about execution, knowing how to execute it, and also knowing my fabrics, knowing how much fabric I need to get in there with it still being light. And that's 6 yards of fabric in each dress.
But she started with 4 and I said we need more.
Yeah.
So part of my mission as a choreographer is to push my dancers to the fullest limit, one of which is here, Stephanie. And so when we got into the studio, we realized it's very complicated, specifically because they had already crafted the choreography. So we had to readjust the choreography within the studio, and in the photo shoot we started to play with fans to see how we can capture that air within the space of the skirt. But ultimately, they don't have fans on stage, so now we're trying to craft it so that when you see it this weekend, if you come to the show, it is actually capturing the air that this parachute skirt is able to do just through movement. So that show will be performed tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday at the Larkham. If you want to come see our next collaboration, Keys in Black and White will also be on stage as well.
So